Hello guys, this is our first webinar in English, and I have the how can I say, it's an honor to have you here, Shane.
Bon dia.
Bon
How are you,
dia.
Luiz? Good to
Yes,
see you, and thank you very much for inviting me.
thank you very much, Shane. For you is bon dia, it's 10 a.m. For me is boa noites, good night.
Boa
Or
noites.
good evening, because it's 7 p.m. Are you speaking from New Zealand?
I'm in New
Auckland?
Zealand this week, yeah, at home.
Okay, great. I'm in Porto Alegre, in the south of Brazil. And
I have fond memories of Porto Alegre. I look
yes,
forward to coming back one day.
we invited you to be here to start our Business Analysis Brazil conference, the first edition. You were the keynote speaker.
I was.
And you were very great, very nice. People told me that you were, how can I say, they didn't expect it, what they heard from you, because people used to do traditional business analysis, and it was great in 2012, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. It was 11 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
First, because we'd been working together on the Agile extension to the business analysis body of knowledge, the first release.
Exactly. I think I started talking with Alan Gottesdiener in 2009. I don't remember if I met you the first time in 2010.
9 or 10, yeah.
Yeah, 9 or 10. So today, if you are seeing us, thank you very much for you guests, our guests, to be here. This is our number 10 webinar related to lean business analysis in our lean business analysis community. Actually, you are not a big community. We are still a family, because we have small participants here in Brazil, but we are developing this idea of spreading not only business analysis for business analysts, but the knowledge area of business analysis for managers, leaders. What's your opinion about it, Shane?
Business analysis is an absolutely crucial skill set for almost any role in the knowledge economy. The job title of business analyst is something that I think we're going to see in some ways less and less of, as business analysis, the skill set, the discipline, the competency becomes part of the success criteria for many, many different roles. But also when we think about what's happening in terms of the adoption of agile ideas outside of information technology, the spread of business agility, the agile idea of T-shaped skills and people who are generalizing specialists, we're seeing more and more of that. And again, business analysis, the competencies, the skill sets of business analysis are crucial to success in many different roles today.
I totally agree with you. And what I've been proposing of business analysis and practicing as a consultant, not as a trainer, it's developing business analysis skills in managers. Managers, in traditional managers, to move them, or to move them to this new mindset of the 21st century. Because what I've seen is that we are talking about 21st businesses, and these guys are practicing 20th century.
Yep, the world is in a different state today. So perhaps we can start the presentation. We can talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
So
you want to start your presentation? While we are doing this, I would like to introduce you. Shane Hasty, that is speaking to us, is the director of Agile Learning Programs at the International Consortium for Agile, the ICAgile organization. He will talk more about these ICAgile fundamentals and structure. But what I would like to talk, Shane, before we start talking about ICAgile, is you, over the last 30 years, Shane has been a practitioner and leader of developers, testers, trainers, project managers, and business analysts, helping teams to deliver results that align with overall business objectives. You spent 15 years as a professional trainer and consultant specializing in agile practices, business analysis, project management, requirements, testing, and methodologies for software education in Australia, New Zealand, and around the world. You can talk about that. You were part of the board of directors in the Agile
the Agile Alliance.
The Agile Alliance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you, can I say that you were one of the leaders, or still the leader of the Agile extension to the BA-BOK?
Yep, I was the one of the core team of 9 that defined the architecture and contents for the business analysis body of knowledge version 3, and I was the team facilitator for the second version of the Agile extension to the business analysis body of knowledge. So a lot of volunteer work for the International Institute for Business Analysis, and bringing the concepts of agility into the work of business analysis.
Great. So you can continue with the ICAgile presentation, please.
Okay. So yeah, ICAgile, the International Consortium for Agile, we're an accreditation and certification body. What we do is define or work with global experts to define what the different competencies are in the various disciplines that cover the product and product delivery and running modern businesses. And we can look at that roadmap of competencies in a couple of minutes. We facilitate thought leadership. We provide meaningful certifications, and we ensure top quality learning experiences. So we're not a training organization. We don't teach classes, but what we do is we work with global experts to define those competencies. We publish the learning outcomes, and then training providers build classes against those learning outcomes to deliver the course, to deliver a course that meets a set of learning outcomes. We then accredit that course to make sure that it does meet our high standards, that the trainers are authorized, that they understand their subjects and can teach it effectively. And then as a result of that, people who go through those classes can receive certification. And the certification paths are in this roadmap that we call it, sometimes referred to as the FAN. At the core, in the center, is the mindset of agility. The ICAgile Certified Professional is a set of competencies that anybody working in a modern organization, doing knowledge work, trying to apply an agile mindset, should have and should understand, which is why it's sitting in the center there. Then each one of those blades of the fan, the paths in the roadmap, have a number of certifications that cover the different disciplines. And we're quite conscious that these are disciplines, they are skill sets, they are not job titles and roles. Because what we see in modern organizations is the concept of the T-shaped skills. People who have a vertical specialization, they're good in one or more areas, and we sometimes see multiple specializations. But they also have competencies outside of and across. So the top of the T, the bar of the T, is our ability to step outside of a specialization and become a member and a part of a cross-functional team. Because what we've seen is that value is more effectively delivered in organizations where they are dependent upon human creativity and knowledge through cross-functional, self-organizing, highly collaborative teams. So, and this, of course, is one of the core ideas of all of the agile methods and approaches. But it goes beyond agile for IT. This is really about agility in the business. So in the current fan that you see there, we have disciplines around value management, or product ownership is the new name for that. We have enterprise agility, we have delivery management, we have facilitation and coaching. Then over on the right, we have the disciplines that are more focused on software engineering. If you are building software products, you need those disciplines. If you're not building software products, agile engineering, so computer engineering, software engineering, agile testing, and DevOps don't make a lot of sense. But the other skills and competencies absolutely do, and they also lead into that blade of the fan that is down the bottom, the business agility track. And that track actually is in the throes of being expanded to cover additional sets of disciplines, so that foundations of business agility, but then building on top of that, people and talent is one of the big challenges. Is if your organization is adopting an agile mindset, a different way of delivering value, then your people practices need to change. One of the big fundamentals is we find organizations who have individual incentive bonuses, for instance, but then we stack rank people against each other, and then we ask them to collaborate effectively in a team. If I'm being ranked against you, it's in my best interest to actually not collaborate with you. So we need to change the motivations. We need to change a lot of the way that we're working in our organizations. So we're working with a group of global experts and have defined a set of learning outcomes that relates to what does it mean to be agile in your people operations. We try and avoid the term human resources because people are not resources. The skill and knowledge in people's heads is the source of value in our organizations.
May I interrupt you?
Sorry?
May I interrupt you with, okay, people are not resources. I agree. I totally agree with you. But their knowledge, skills, emotional states, don't you think that these are the resources that should be directed?
Yeah, the competencies that people have are the source of value in our organizations. Absolutely, and we need to find mechanisms to provide good direction. If we talk about the research into high-performing teams, we know high-performing teams are most effective when there are clear boundaries, clear goals, but within those goals, we trust the team to be effective. The other thing is within those boundaries, the team feels psychologically safe. There's a lot of evidence of the importance of safety in allowing and enabling high-performing teams. And again, that's some of the key stuff that is in the learning outcomes that this group of experts has defined in the talent area, the people area. Likewise,
let me know why you decided to change the name value management.
because product ownership is the term that is most recognized in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
We held value management up as this is what it's about, and we still maintain that. But we got a lot of feedback, and we're a member-driven organization, and we listen to feedback that, yes, value management is right, but our customers see it as product ownership.
Okay.
Product
Okay.
ownership is the term that has traction. So we've listened to the feedback. The value management focus is a clear part of that track, but product ownership is the more recognizable brand, I suppose you could say.
A brand. It's very interesting. People are more oriented to brands than to systems thinking.
Yep. And I wish we could
Right.
change that, but we know that there are limits.
Yeah. So, would you like to continue with your? I have some questions to provoke you, but I would like that you start with your second part of presentation.
Sure. Well, and in addition to the people, there's marketing, there's finance, there's leadership, there's ways we do innovation. All of these things have to change if we're going to make our organizations fundamentally agile. And I mean agile in the way the word is defined, able to rapidly respond to changes in a volatile marketplace, because that's the problem we face today. The old ways of working no longer apply. The term VUCA has been coined. That really does explain what's happening to the business world. It is volatile. The rate of change, as you know, is fast, and it's getting faster. It is uncertain. We don't know what the future is bringing to us. And our organizations have to be able to adapt. They are complex. There are many, many different factors that are loosely related, will interact and cause and drive the different outcomes. We look at just the value streams in product lines today. They are much more complex than they used to be. And there's a lot of ambiguity. We don't know what we don't know, but we know that what we think we know is wrong. And we have to be able to adapt. And the 20th century ways of management simply don't work in a VUCA world.
But from your experience working with many companies, I bet that you were facing many managers with the 20th century in their mindset, isn't it? These concepts that you are showing to them, I can say that is the hell for a linear thinking, for
it's scary.
Linear processing. They're scared. So how can we introduce business agility as not a solution, I can say, but it can be a solution, but a pain reliever for this suffering of these guys?
First of all,
are introducing agile by practices and artifacts. I think that it's totally wrong. They're trying to push, not to pull the business value. They are trying to push methodologies, frameworks, and practices. What is your opinion? What do you think?
Practices, methodologies, frameworks, some of them can be useful in the right context. Implemented without the right mindset, then all we're doing is replacing one set of failed approaches with another set of failed approaches. If we have the mindset of agility, which really is how do we respond and adapt, recognizing that people are the primary source of value in our organizations, that we need creativity and innovation, that the organization structures and supporting systems need to be designed to enable people to be effective, that a humanistic workplace gets better outcomes than a 19th century workplace, which many organizations have, that innovation comes when people have the space and the time to stop and think, and that creativity is the single most important characteristic of modern organizations. I can never remember who said this. It was one of the big names, but changing is optional. So is survival.
Exactly. I
if
don't
you
remember
don't change in today's world, your organization will not survive. And we see this with the statistics of longevity of businesses today. The average longevity of the Fortune 500 has gone from something like 65 years on average to less than 15 years.
Yes.
So, yeah, agility is an option, so is surviving. If your organization isn't adopting new ways of thinking and working, well, there's a competitor out there who is, and they will beat you in the marketplace.
Before we, I don't know, would you like to continue here? Because I would like to show you something.
Sure.
Would you like to continue, or can I?
Sure. Let's lead the conversation.
Okay, so I will put some new information for the discussion here. I will put this, what I've been talking about, the 20th century management paradigms, that what I've seen is that business, products, processes, and people are in the 20th century and in the 21st century. Yeah. They didn't change.
You don't.
Business, products, process, and people.
Yep.
Okay, but management from the inside out, and we'll see that we are proposing another mindset that from the outside in.
Yeah.
So that's the first point that I would like to ask you.
Yeah.
When we talk about business agility, we are talking to go to leave the state of not a leadership, but a command. But it's a way of leadership focused on goals, hierarchy, command. The strategy is short-term maintenance to maintain the status quo. Is a linear thinking, initiatives, improvements, requirements, compliance, and execution focused on efficiency, control, and predictability. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's 20th century thinking, which was successful in the 20th century paradigm. Now, this is something we need to acknowledge, is that this stuff came about because it worked in that predictable, almost mechanistic workplace.
Exactly.
In that world, it was right. The world has shifted.
So, don't you think, I asked you before and you agreed with me, but I would like to enforce this concept. We need to train the managers, the leaders. I think that actually, or business analysts, as you told me, are still interested in requirements, in being order takers.
Yeah, we do see some of that still, unfortunately.
Yes. So when you do business analysis, and I will propose after some minutes, I will show a proposal of a full stack business analysis, because you cannot be doing business analysis only at the product level or only at processes. These product owners are working in the product level, product owners, and they practice business analysis. And some business analysts are focused on processes. And they say that they are doing business analysis, but they forget people. And there is a business that have to be developed. So that's the point that I've seen, that strategy today, but talking about leadership, purpose, network, not hierarchy, and collaboration. This is my focus when I do business analysis, because we have to improve a business. We have to change this. What do you think? And I used to say that the 20th century rounds this from how can I say, counterclockwise here, the right, left to right, and here the 21st century is a clockwise counter, is right to left. So these guys should change their mind related to this.
And if I were to suggest a change to that picture, I would put the customer in the middle.
Customer in the middle. I will show, after that, I will show you another slide. You can continue with your presentation, because you are giving me more information for discussion.
Customer-centric organizations are the ones that are winning in today's world. It's interesting. This is a recent piece of research by Computer Associates. They looked at the state of business agility, and modern project management officers, PMOs, they are realizing that they have to change. So you're seeing, and the agile movement of the last 20 years in information technology has been a strong influencer. We've seen that in that information technology complex environment where learning is the most important skill set, then the agile approaches have enabled organizations to deliver better product that meet customer demand, that improve quality and get better time to market. So those are good business outcomes that we're seeing in organizations who have adopted the agile IT approach. And now we're starting to see the movement that says these ideas are influenced by what's happened in IT, but we're going to the original source, and some of this is the lean thinking from the 1960s and before. Things like the Toyota production system, with a focus on the deep respect for people as the starting point. And we're starting to bring this outside of the IT department and bringing it into other parts of the world. And the PMO, because they have had oversight in what's happened inside information technology, but also seeing the other initiatives that organizations have, the PMO is often the one that's saying, hey, wait a minute, we're getting better at this IT stuff. Why? It seems to be related to this agile thing that we're doing. Can we apply that in other parts of the business? And it's really interesting that in progressive organizations, the group that we often have decried as being the process police are actually the ones who are recognizing the need for change. The PMO is the driver for change. And sadly, we're not seeing that same push for change. Less than a third of them consider their other parts of the business have caught up. The operations, the marketing, so if you're delivering product on a cadence of every 2 weeks, you've got a new version that can go to your customer marketplace, but your marketing program takes 6 months, Well, we've lost the opportunity of actually leveraging the value that's been generated. So how do we align the marketing cadence with the product delivery cadence, for instance? Likewise, my conversation about the human resources, the people operations part of the organization, they need to change. We're looking for different skill sets today. We're looking for those creative cross-functional people. It makes the hiring process harder. Likewise, in the accounting and finance area, the funding models that our organizations use, you can't predict today what you're going to need to spend in 18 months' time. So what happens is our budgeting process is fundamentally broken.
Exactly.
So we need to have new ways of adapting, and there's tools out there, things like beyond budgeting, that support and enable us.
And what's interesting, I was discussing budgeting with a customer, and I proposed to do a quarter budget, but a perspective of budget, a yearly perspective of budget, but only 1 year. But what happened is that think in terms of a zero-based budgeting, that you have you can think about a threshold of your budget, your threshold, and you have increments. But take a look, your projects, if your projects were focused on value management, and you can guarantee return of investment, you can say that you need money in your pocket to invest in this project. So it's not a problem of budgeting. It's a problem of investment. Investment to invest in projects
portfolio
that
management
you minimize your risks. So
and that's what all of these approaches are about, because the world is risky and much riskier, and the learning process that is built into all of the agile approaches. One of the keys to anything agile is rapid feedback loops. But this requires, again, a different approach and a different way of thinking about all of our business. So top-down management needs to let go and become leadership at every level. The empowerment of the people who are closest to the customer, rather than having many layers of authorization, provide clear guidelines and trust the people who are at the coalface, who are the ones who understand our customers' needs the best, to make the best decisions. Move away from the do more with less to simply just do less. We know
this is the lean thinking.
It is lean thinking, absolutely. These ideas are not new. They've been around for decades.
Don't you think that business agility is the new lean thinking for the 21st century?
It's heavily influenced by the ideas of lean, and it's bringing in the modern characteristics. So new ways of thinking and working. It does leverage some of the tools that are available. Tools help.
Yes.
We have better communication capabilities, for instance, today than we had 20 years ago.
Yes. And what I've seen is that they tried, and there are some guys, some consultants, some companies are still trying to implement lean office. And what do you think about the difference between the lean office approach, that is pure lean, with this approach that we say we use the fundamentals of lean, but we put more on people? What do you think on leadership, on people, on collaboration?
If we go back to the very source of lean, the Toyota production system, The core philosophy in there is deep respect for people.
Yes.
Unfortunately, most implementations have ignored that piece, and they've been about process, and they've been about efficiency, not about effectiveness, not about outcomes, but measuring the wrong things. So one of the change imperatives, moving from this concept of process over people to the minimum viable process with empowered people.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean no process. It's what's the smallest process that is going to enable us to achieve our organizational outcomes with that deep respect for people. We employ highly skilled professionals, and then in many organizations, we treat them like kindergarten children.
Mm-hmm.
We give them no trust. We give them no leeway. We define the procedural rule book about 1,000 pages long. And guess what? We perpetuate the same mistakes over and over again. Whereas if we trust people and empower the people at the edge and empower people right the way through our organization, we see over and over and over again that we're getting better outcomes, quicker time to market, higher customer satisfaction, better profitability. And it really is interesting. Mm-hmm. When we shift our focus from shareholder returns to customer delight, every organization that's done that, the shareholder returns have gone up.
I have a model saying that. I agree. I totally agree. And
profit is the oxygen that we breathe. We have to have profit.
Yes.
Again, I'm quoting somebody there, but it's not should not be the purpose of our business.
But take a look. I totally agree. The profit is result. Result. So don't you agree that people are focusing on Agile today on the outputs and not on the outcomes?
Yep, there's a lot of what I call fragile.
Fragile.
where it's agile by the book without that deep respect for people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we take the people in the process and the people own the process, they're going to adapt it. None of the agile brands work perfectly as described in their book.
Yeah.
Because what was described in their book was for a particular context that it worked in. That context is not the context of the organization that you're in. So we must be able to have that empowered people working within the minimum viable process and actually adapting their process and their way of work to what is right in their context. And that is what being agile is about.
Yeah. Paulo is here. If is Paulo, is that you that was in the conference with us? Yep. I think that it was in 2012 that you met Paulo here.
I remember Paulo.
So, Paulo, the key point in Agile is the trust, and when scaling Agile for a whole organization, this continues to be a key. Yes. What is your experience in balancing? This is another Paulo. Paulo was your student in that conference. It was Paulo Keglevich. So Paulo's question: what is your experience in balancing trust versus governance when helping organizations to surf into agility? Balancing this trust versus governance.
Well, I don't believe that there should be a balance between trust and governance. What you need is clear guidelines, and the organization does need to, it's those boundaries we spoke about, but it's not trust versus governance. It's governance in a trusting framework.
I agree, because trust is a value.
Yep.
It's a value, and you will do your governance model by respecting this value.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what we do find is the organizations who, and yes, it can be scary, because when we think about why the bureaucratic rules for many organizations have come about, a well-meaning person made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Something went wrong. We retrospected, we explored. In the worst case, we blamed them and we fired them. In the best case, we learned and figured out that this was something we probably didn't want to do again. So we wrote a rule. Don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then a slightly different mistake was made. We wrote another rule. Don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
In a blame culture, we probably fired that person too. So now we're creating a culture of fear with lots of rules. In that culture of fear with lots of rules, everybody follows the rules because nobody can then be blamed. But you can't change the rules when the world changes around you. When we shift that thinking from the culture of blame to a culture of trust, you start to empower individuals, and we take accountability at the individual level. Dysfunctional behavior has to be dealt with. There's no question about that. But we go right the way back to W. Edwards Deming. 95% of the performance of any individual is the system they work within, not the work that they are doing, and not their motivation. So if we take that systems view, let's fix the system, and then the 5% we will deal with. But 95% is the system. And these are the conceptual changes that we need to make.
Something like the phrase of the quote of the Eliyahu Goldratt: "Let me know how do you measure me, how you measure me, and you know what I will do, how I will behave." So that's the point. My behavior is related with my beliefs and values. So that's,
but also by the Deming again said, give a manager a numerical target, and he will meet it, even if he has to destroy the organization to do so. And our targets are wrong.
Yes.
So
change. We have almost 15 minutes. Would you like to finish this slide, commenting the other part?
Well,
I'm the timekeeper here.
The things that we really have to do is respond at the speed of change. Listen to the voice of the customer. Put the customer in the middle, not around the outside. The customer is the reason that we exist as organizations. Empower our people, give them clarity, give them alignment. Recognize them that they're not resources or assets. They are the primary source of value and innovation. Start looking for outcomes rather than outputs, and the focus on delivering value rather than being busy. And turn innovation into a core competency. We absolutely have to change our way of thinking in organizations. And then, stop pretending that we can predict the unpredictable. The ideas around no projects, no estimates. That doesn't mean we don't think about where we're going, but we need to understand that things are going to change, and it's all right to shift and adapt to the changing way of working. And if that happens, we can revisit, we can change VUCA into something else. Clarity is the intent to create the future. Understanding, learning, hearing, and getting feedback. Clarity in sense making, and agility responding to change in order to profit in a turbulent world. And that's a VUCA that I want in my organization.
Yes, vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. Yes.
Much better than the first one. But it takes a mindset shift. It takes, for some organizations, a culture shift. It takes a skill set shift. It doesn't just happen.
This is an inspirational VUCA. Don't you agree? Vision, understanding, clarity. So I would like, if you permit me, I showed you this full stack, and I would like to discuss in the last minutes with you, because I would like your opinion about this. This is the heart of Agile from the mentor.
Alistair Coburn's Heart of Agile and Josh Keriovsky's Modern Agile Principles. So these are evolutions of the ideas that were part of the original Agile Manifesto.
And don't you think that we, as business analysis practitioners, we should start talking about make business awesome?
I would, yes, but I want to go further. Make customers awesome.
Okay, but take a look about this. Make business awesome. An equation. Business, awesome results, awesome people and technology, awesome experiences. I used to say that people, awesome people and technologies contribute to get better results, but they should think about the lead time of not your operation, but the lead time of getting better results. So that's the point. But the journey to get these better results should be amazing, should be awesome. So the experiences should be awesome. But what we've been proposing as a full stack business analysis for how can I say, not knowledge areas, but horizons, as you put in the second version of the Agile extension, the horizon, the execution horizon, that it was written as delivery horizon, not execution, initiative and strategy. I've been proposing to bring the leadership. There is
that's we could call that organization vision, but yes.
So take a look, short term, middle term, long term. This leadership is in terms of transcendence. Transcendence is the company, as you told me.
It's how we are. It's what we become.
And here below, behind my video here that you can see, is the delight. Why I'm doing this? Because what we are proposing is culture impact individuals, and individuals engaged with awesome experiences. So that's the what. Take a look. Customer perspective, business value, customer-centric. Delight your customer. And the business value is how can you make your customers awesome? As the book of Kathy Sierra, make users awesome, make people awesome, make users, customers awesome. And if you focus on that, probably you get a mirror. If you are focusing on customer to make them awesome in people, technologies, their results, their experiences, and they get engaged with your business, you need to do the same in your company, with your collaborator, with your people. So take a look. The why is the leadership horizon, is the people perspective. They want to know the why of that. And the how is process perspective, product and service or business. But what I've seen, first of all, people trying to change the culture, but not changing the mindset of management. It's very easy to say that management is dead, but management should be done not for a managers, not for a manager, for the managers, but can be done by the team. So if I put here the agile mindset, the modern agile mindset, for example, you have the traditional agile mindset here in the process perspective, focus on flow, inspection, and adaptation. But you see focus on customer, experimentation, learning, market, growing, and innovation. This strategy related to emotional states are related to these exponential organizations, this new economy era. But what's happening here? Are you listening some voice
I
here?
hear a little bit of feedback.
Yes, yes. I don't know. It's my neighborhoods. Neighbors, not neighborhood, my neighbor. And inspiration, transformation, trust. So, what do you think about it?
It makes good sense, and we're saying the same thing from slightly different directions.
So, because I asked you, because people are talking about full stack developer.
Yeah.
Who is the full stack business analyst? For me, is who is in charge of management, that is leading the management, not the.
Yeah, it's providing that inspirational leadership, and the key is again that vision of what is success, a compelling vision that everyone in the organization can get behind and wants to make a part of the outcome.
So, continuing and coming back to we have 8 minutes. So, I showed you previously this model, because what's going on is that business agility for me is not only a scaled framework that will bring this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not criticizing these scaled models, but the point is that there is still following processes, artifacts. It remembers me RUP.
Yeah, and pick your framework. It's not about the framework. It's about the people.
Yes.
And whatever approach you take has got to put people at the core. Yeah, we go right the way back to the fundamental principles of the Toyota production system and respect for people. That was why it worked. And when the American car manufacturers tried to copy that model without just using the processes and the artifacts and the factory design and everything else, without that deep respect for people, it failed.
Yes. Yes, that's the point. Shane, we have 7 minutes, but I would like to share your contacts if there are someone seeing our watching our webinar right now. Would you like to send a final message to our community here in international practitioners around the world about business agility and truth?
Business agility has got to be the way that our organizations move into the 21st century, because the old way of working doesn't work in that VUCA world. And if we can turn that VUCA into something inspirational, then we find ourselves able to truly make a difference, to have workplaces that are joyous, to have customers who are delighted, and by the way, we make good profits. And that's all of those together, to me, are hugely important.
So you are telling me that we have a huge challenge that is to change, to transform Paulo, Leonardo, and if you click the chat, and you can see some questions, some comments there. And Paulo sent us, yeah, but it's easy to say that by just recycling the managers, you can have less controls of governance. Nevertheless, probably is the word. Imagine an organization controlled by a huge number of stakeholders that have strong influence in the way the organization works. Something like a cooperative, for example.
Yeah,
I
and
can
we
tell
do
you,
see.
Paul. I'm sorry. Continue, please.
We do see that the way. So honestly, for those managers who have been successful in the old way, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are asking them to let go of a lot of their old ways of thinking and their management practices, because we know that they don't work in the new way, in the new world. And unfortunately, the world has moved past where those managers are. And they do, and what we find is that the vast majority of them, when they get it, they achieve it and it works.
Yes.
But it is a change in mindset, and we know that change is hard. It also requires moving a lot of of the rules of our organizations around. So yeah, it's in some ways a leap of faith, but we do it. We take an agile approach to changing the organization. We do it in small slices. We do small experiments. We get feedback.
Yeah.
We make it, to quote Henrik Knieberg, we make the blast radius small.
Take a look at this morning. In this morning, I was talking with a customer, a senior management in a customer, and he told me, okay, politics, it will be there. Politics around this management, but what we have to avoid is ideology.
Yeah.
If you bring ideology to this culture and this management, it will not work. It will be two sides, three sides, and it will be parties being formed inside the company, and it will come back to this, to, how can I say, the silos of this organization, and departmentalizing them again. And so that's the point. I think, and what I try to practice is to bring the systems thinking to everyone. It's not easy, but it's to understand there is only one company, and the customer is the final customer, not the internal customer. There's no internal customer.
Yeah, there is only one customer, and they're at the edge of the organization, and they pay us money or receive our service if we're a nonprofit.
Exactly. Shane, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being here.
An absolute pleasure, and really good to catch up with you.
Thank you again. I hope to meet you again in some conference, or bring you back to Brazil for a new conference. Yes, and guys, you that are watching us right now, there is our this Lean Business Analysis Brazil channel at YouTube, and I invite you to join us, to register this channel, because Shane was our first international guest. I hope to bring more guys, more people, very smart and wise people to discuss with us. And it was a pleasure to be here. Good night and good day.
Good day
for you. Good day, and see you. Bye.
Bye, and thank you so much, folks.
Thank you. Bye.